Have y'all heard about the David Dobrik situation? No? Well then let me catch you up on it. This is solely for educational purposes, no hate to anyone involved. What's your Instagram handle? By the way, this is a complicated one. Let's head back to 2017 when the Vlog Squad was doing prank videos. This was back in David Dobrik's old apartment, so it was a while ago. But the prank was being held against Seth, who believed he would be kissing Corinna under a scary face mask. The trick was, though, that it was Jason Nash under the face mask. He did not consent to kissing Jason Nash. He only consented to kissing a female. So this is where the first issue arises. For a good 30 to 40 seconds, he was forced to make out with Jason Nash and thought it was a woman. The Vlog Squad also knew that back home, gay men were not accepted. So they knew that there was a good chance he was going to be very uncomfortable with this and that it could cause issues in his future. However, they played the prank on him and he was uncomfortable, but Seth didn't say anything. Let's jump to this is part 2 of the David Dobrik situation. This is solely for educational purposes, and I hate to anyone involved. What's your favorite picture? Also, go follow me on Instagram. After this, Seth did not say anything, and they actually ended up playing this prank on Seth again. They asked him for consent, and apparently he gave consent, although we have not seen the video footage for this, and they played the prank on him again. Obviously, Seth didn't say anything at the time because his career was depending on it, and he felt as though he needed to be a part of the group, so he kept up with it. He has, however, since spoken up and said that he's very uncomfortable with the situation and has even moved out. He doesn't film with David anymore or any of the Vlog Squad. But this is where stuff kind of gets messy. During the month of Black Lives Matter movement, Seth came out with an entire video basically speaking out against the Vlog Squad and telling them that the stereotypes that he volunteered and did were not acceptable anymore. He knew that he played a bad part in it, but he also called out the rest of the Vlog Squad and said that they needed to improve on these stereotypes and not play into the black stereotype. This is part 3 of the David Dobrik situation. This is solely for educational purposes, no hate to anyone involved. What is your favorite fast food restaurant? David Dobrik at the time didn't respond, and I've actually called out David Dobrik for this in the past because he does not like responding situations. He doesn't talk about them and he ignores them in hopes that they go away. This was about 8 months ago, and David Dobrik has still not addressed what Seth has said. However, this is where Trisha and H3H3 get involved. By the way, I've made it very clear that I'm not the biggest fan of Trisha Paytas. She has hurt multiple communities and offended multiple people, so I don't think she's in the right to be talking about this situation. However, she did give Seth a platform as well as H3H3, so I respect that. However, using this for more clout and attention, I don't know how I feel about it. However, Trisha also deserves to be heard because when Trisha was back in the Vlog Squad, David and Jason decided to play a prank on Trisha where David would sit in the bathroom and scare Trisha. However, Jason didn't tell Trisha and they started having relations and she walked into the bathroom. This is part 4 of the David Dobrik situation. This is solely for educational purposes, no hate to anyone involved. What's your favorite brand? This is where David was standing on the other side, and Jason knew and talked about this in the podcast later that he just wanted to have relations, so he didn't warn Trisha before she went to the bathroom. No one deserves that to happen to them either. So, H3H3 and Trisha talked about it on their Frenemies podcast and invited Seth and also Big Nick, who is also a member of the Vlog Squad, to talk about their experience in the Vlog Squad and the mentality that they had in the Vlog Squad, especially making fun of minorities, certain features that they had, and how uncomfortable it made them, especially after they left. Both had reached out to David Dobrik, but he didn't even respond to their texts or give them the time of the day to talk to them. Big Nick even was kind enough in the video to say that he still loved David and still respected him a ton. He just thinks that the mentality of the Vlog Squad wasn't healthy. Big Nick also hopes that David will take some sound of the videos because he felt bullied by what the situation was, that he only gave permission. This is part 5 of the David Dobrik situation. This is solely for educational purposes. No hate to anyone involved. Would you rather wear silver or gold jewelry? Big Nick was so kind in that interview with H3H3 when he was talking about David, and he said that it wasn't fair. But he was kind enough to give David the respect, and David can't even return a text. After a lot of noise was made from the Frenemies podcast because they interviewed Seth and Big Nick, Scotty Sire decided to make a video. Now, if you've watched this video, you understand why I have a few issues with this, but throughout the whole video, he kind of manipulates the situation, doesn't address any of the big points, excuses David and Jason's behavior, and says that the Frenemies podcast has ulterior motives, and that's the only reason why they're doing this. That doesn't excuse the fact that Seth didn't give consent to the first time that this happened to him. And victims might feel differently after a series of time has passed. It's also not Scotty's place to talk about this situation. It's David and Jason's place to talk about this situation. He also decided to talk about Aaron, which I have This is part 6 of the David Dobrik situation. This is solely for educational purposes. No hate to anyone involved. Would you rather watch movies or series? Now, if you don't know about the Erin situation, what happened to her was also completely unfair. Someone was blackmailing her and threatening to leak a video in which she was fully nude and wanted to leak it because she said the N-word in a song. She was completely intoxicated and drunk, did not give consent to someone filming her, and although she should have not said the N-word, that video should have not been leaked to the public, and the person who did that also had ulterior motives. Scotty Sire decided to mention this without explaining the whole situation and say that Seth and H3H3 were the ones to post this. They were not the ones to officially post this, however, they did retweet it, which isn't okay either. They shouldn't have been spreading that more into the public, if that makes any sense. They have since unretweeted what they retweeted. Erin made a whole apology on that video, and if you want to go see her apologize, it's not my apology to accept. I'm just talking about the video itself not being fair to be leaked. So Scotty decides to mention that. This is part 7 of the David Dobrik situation. This is solely for educational purposes. No hate to anyone involved. Would you rather stay in your PJs all day or get dressed up? So no, David Dobrik and Jason Nash have not addressed the situation, and they've actually copyright claimed some videos about talking about the situation on their podcast. They just don't want to address it. And although I don't think they pushed Scotty Sire to do this video, they might have encouraged it, and I think that's the whole mentality of their group. No one deserves these things to happen to them. Not even Trisha deserves what happened to her to happen to her. And I think David needs to finally start addressing things. I think Big Nick, Seth, and anyone else who felt attacked or bullied on the Vlog Squad deserves to have an apology and it to be public because they refuse to acknowledge private texts. Seth and Big Nick both said if David would have responded to their texts, they wouldn't have gotten on the podcast to talk about it, but they just wanted to get it out in the public, and since they both don't have big platforms, they were willing to do it with Trisha and H3H3, and I think that's hard. This is part 8 of talking about the David Dobrik situation. This is solely for educational purposes. No hate to anyone involved. What's your favorite candy bar? To wrap this all up, what do I think of this situation? It's actually very hard. This is one of the situations where when I was doing research on it, I struggled to form an opinion, and I still struggle to form an opinion. However, I think the one things that are clear to me is that Seth did not give consent in the beginning of the situation. Although he might have wanted to continue it later on, he could have changed his opinion and how he felt the first time. And I think Big Nick deserves an apology as well, because although he gave permission to David to make fun of his height, he didn't give permission to the rest of the Vlog Squad, and he deserves better. Especially since he was kind enough to speak highly of all of these members on the H3H3 podcast. I hope you guys hold David accountable because he needs to be held accountable. And although he's done a lot of good, he's hurting some people around him, and I don't think they deserve that either. But tell me what you think in the comments down below. Also, go follow Internet Girls Pod on Instagram.